Willie Ross hated her because she had humiliated the Labour Party in general, and him in particular, in the eyes of many of his colleagues. Because they were saying, Willie, how is it that you could lose a cast iron, traditional Labour constituency, a constituency that had been Labour since time immemorial, to Winnie Ewing? And of course, that got under his skin.
The Tories were very civil, and the Liberals were very kind at that time. And it was really the Labour from the Central Belt. They were born to rule, as they thought, and anyone daring to come into their arena was an enemy. That's the way they regarded me, an enemy. It was pretty nasty sometimes.
You could still see the scars, because it was an awful experience she went through. Now, with one or two exceptions, Emrys Hughes springs to mind, the behaviour of the Labour Party in Scotland was despicable. They set out to destroy her, and they could have succeeded. And there were times in which she felt she was being destroyed. And I think it was fighting against that type of tribalism that developed some of her skills. Now, she did survive, but she never forgot that. And I think Scotland needs to remember that the people of Hamilton sent her for a particular purpose in November 1967, and the Labour Party had lost that seat, in spite, tried to destroy her.
Sgáinnice leis an damhras a bhfuil bláthadach Winnie a prosnacha agus cud de bhfuil, bhaidhfuilg tád agus maca ga chuad a bhdainigí.
A number of particular Labour MPs were very nasty to her. Willie Ross, George Willis, and a number of others. They weren't nice at all, and slightly ashamed.
The other parties would like to have seen her out the door. I mean, her sitting there and coming in on debates on issues that they would rather not have heard debated. I mean, certainly. I mean, she made them all sit up and take notice that there was other views in Scotland.
Well, Mahad Keele, bheith an duine mararin, Lord John Bannerman, agus bheith isaice, mar a bheith tachartí, agus bheith trúsaice dí. As bheith gafiach an amis muoch di bríon dí, is di taichte chumad dí, mar a bwrnia. Bheith na hauner, ar a party eici di cúl, as an a duine gomandans, cuidrach, sé bailnach van vín agus mar a bheith chuide fahún dhéana búil Parliament sé fiidirnig bhúnda agus doch gorát caran dinosauric.
Was she taken seriously by the bulk of the House of Commons? The answer is no. And the truth is that in the arguments of the time, I don't think that she had very much to contribute.
An an taine gomantan ag an naum, saocha go bhac mór fos machnam fer, san rion gadíide bha van boiannach a hissig a cárich an hain. Ach san na sinna lisich Winnie na skillen eichge mar cháiritiche eiritach agus neach politics giar.
I was regarded as a kind of mad woman. But by this time, we were starting to win a lot of seats at local elections, which was worrying people. And I was getting an enormous amount of TV time every week. And I was also writing a column every week for the Daily Record. So I was getting an awful lot of publicity. But I mean, that was inevitable. I couldn't stop the publicity. I wanted it, of course.
At that time particularly, she wrote a column in the Daily Express, which was pure poison. And but then she would go back down in London and say, why are you not nice to me? Why don't you kind of allow me into the club? So I don't think it's a black and white story at all. I mean, this is where I start to, find Winnie, just not quite the sort of sweet voice of Scotland that she presents herself as. I mean, Winnie was a thoroughly partisan politician.
I think that no member of Parliament should take things too seriously. We should realise that this is a work that has to be done. And I mean, I used to say to my party, the more I'm attacked, the better for me, because it gives me room to answer and to get my thing. I said, when they play this game for 2 or 3 years, they'll be sick of it, and they'll want to shut you up then.
She was a great baiter of people. Yes, I'm sure. I think she loved being attacked. She loved being noticed.
Ach ymysg yn air et yn tri, chwrstich Winnie hen le carriage yn ŵra, as mae'r fa hedog, charod tiolach hen ffata fo hinchyn y gawns yn bi.
You've got a husband who's working in Glasgow, you've got 3 young children. How are you going to fit that in?
Well, father will have to be mother from Tuesdays to Thursdays, or whenever it is I've got to be there.
And Terry was allowed to wait up till I got back. We saw. Where you been and why you went was what he said. Where you been and why you went. Oh, God. No answer. No answer. Oh, dear. Still, they came down for the month of July. I had a flat and they stayed with me, and then Stuart used to take them sightseeing, and then they came into the house. And they liked being in the house because they were safe. You see, the policemen knew who they were. Funnily enough, a lot of people with children never took their children to the house. I did. It's funny that.
Anna Westminster gainig i'n garsys y feichgil y chymrach imridjach, Gwynfor Evans.
Winnie Ewing, of course, and Gwynfor Evans were in the House of Commons together in the period between 1967 and 1970. And this was a period when the question of self-determination for Wales and Scotland really came on the political agenda.
I thought he was a very wise head who'd had so much experience of politics, and he was held in such esteem by the Welsh. But he was just a great companion of mine. I used to sit in on Welsh question time, and he sat in with me, because we were much tormented, the pair of us, by our Labour pals or enemies. So we used to sort of stand in for each other.
Mar yn ywrach gyda, agus as yn eisiau Josh y taith party y feg bwy lila, ba Winnie an y sych y dydaf. Ach cemar y fi ged y chychlag, sy'n mysglwch politics y fas jeitio agus clwjach. An sich hier dor et eich yrike beg ys fodi ed y hyslach go och blin diag. Ach ar o tegw je befon fyd y hade, sy jesach ygers an dŵlan Westminster.
I hope to do as well as Gwynfor Evans has done for Wales. I would like to ask a great many questions to get some of the vital statistics that we would like to know about Scotland's money, where it goes, how much of it we get back, and how much of it we don't get back.
Thorn in the side. Did we regard her as pain in the arse? Quite often.
Yn gosh bwy, Winnie, van jesbyd my fein riolog táisiacha. Biat Natorian who cychia dewnsi yn y nasiantich.
And we are pledged to give the people of Scotland genuine participation in the making of all decisions that affect them, and to do this within the historic unity of the United Kingdom.
An y nw diag trifichit yn nw, chwyd y rialtas labarach casg dewnsi van y nasiantich le visteach y Commission Kilbrandon, son brennach yd cochrenach y tymanichtja an yn alapa. Ach van drie Winnie yn cwcawn, son grysh cyw. Chaili an y tawg Parliament nw diag trifichit y jeich, tawg an sy'n dwy Natorian bwai. Chai Donald Stewart the steach mar val Parliament Nashington yn ylen yn siar, y chiad ia leid an y tawg cochian. Chai Winnie edd asgolog. Ach diedach cedd miasan as y ioesyn, noch cnaiach go chud y sŵl gwleir na fol.
Okay, here we go. We have crash lap now.
A BP olol orog an the run 40s.
The first few drops of our North Sea oil.